Welcome to the beautiful Chorus Entertainment building here in downtown Toronto. For this episode of Legal Briefs Network, I'm Lauren Honickman with Joe Neuberger.
Hey, Lauren.
Well, a busy day in the courts and a special type of court, put it in quote, the Canadian Judicial Council hearing a very interesting hearing about an Alberta judge.
This is really important, and it's very timely with what we've been talking before on other episodes about the fallout from that Gomeshi case.
Right.
This is a judge who's a Superior Court judge, so federally appointed, who was trying a case, a sexual assault case, and during the course of the sexual assault case, actually made some very unsavory comments to the complainant. One of which was that couldn't she have kept her legs closed or things to that effect, which has resulted in an incredible outpouring of, let's say, rage against this judge, and is now before the Judicial Committee.
Yeah.
And many of his comments are really beyond the pale.
Well, and the interesting part of this is how many hearings have they had? Something like 11 in the last 15, 20 years. I mean,
It's not often.
It's not often at all. People complain about judges all the time, but it's more rare for a case to actually go.
Yeah.
But the interesting part of this for me is that there's no issue as to whether he said it or not. This is not like a court of a he said, she said. I mean, they had the transcript. They knew he did. He apologized right away. But now this body of 5 judges have to determine whether or not he should be removed. And the test, to me, is it's problematic. What is the test? It's almost like, would it shock the conscience of the Canadian public? It's this objective test of how the Canadian public will react. When that happens, whenever a court or a judicial council goes into that, I've got problems with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think let's frame it this way. I mean, this is very, very important because, as you said, these types of complaints rarely come for a hearing. And their decision-making power is really 2 things. Keep him as a judge or don't keep him as a judge. And this judge has apologized and has taken sensitivity training, whatever that means.
Yeah, what is that? Yeah.
But when we frame it, what it comes down to is maintaining independence of the judiciary and also maintaining the integrity of the criminal and the civil justice process. So here, some determination has to be made whether his comments are so severe that he should be removed from the bench. But when you step back, does it represent a bias, an inherent bias that would have infected many trials that he sat on, many more trials they could sit on?
That's the other question,
and can you ever
isn't it?
maintain confidence in a trial before this judge? I'm sure he's done many good things in his career. Being a judge is a privilege. It's an incredible power. So you have to conduct your cases that way.
But he made a mistake. He admitted his mistake. His lawyer is arguing about all the sensitivity training, as you said, and I don't disagree with you. It's hard to understand sometimes what that means.
Yeah.
But do we say, okay, it's one mistake, you're gone. It's we don't give you quote another chance because you are a judge. That's almost like what you're saying.
Yeah, it's very difficult call for this panel. It is a very difficult call. But I think what we have to do is distill it down to this. Yes, was this a mistake, or is it ingrained bias?
So
has been there for such a long time?
But how are they going to decide that, Joe? How do you decide that?
Comments like this are not just a brain cramp and you just shoot things out. I mean, these were serious comments made, which obviously victimized this person who came before the court. It's resulted in the appeal court overturning the acquittal, ordering it for new trial, and now to look forward in time. Can anybody feel?
That's what I was going to
talk
about.
Can anybody feel who comes before this judge? And I don't mean to disparage him in any way, but can they feel that there's going to be a fair trial? Can any complainant in a related type of case feel that they will be listened to and their case will be dealt with without bias? And then flip it to the other side, an accused charged with a sexual-related offense. Can they feel that they're going to get a fair trial? Because
worrying about he'll go too far the other way.
Go to the other
now.
side now. There won't be a case that he sees that he will ever acquit again. And who could blame him if he got so damaged by all of this? It is an extremely difficult situation, and it's particularly difficult because this panel has virtually 1 or 2 things to decide. Get rid of him or keep him.
Right, and get rid of him or keep him, but they go back to that test again. The test of how the community would react. I call it the shock the conscience test. We've seen it. That to me is the difficult part. If they're going to come out and say, you know what, we've looked at this and for the reasons that you just said, Joe, no, he can't sit any longer because on a go forward basis, that's where we're concerned about. But if they come out and say, the Canadian public can't accept something like this from their judges, so he's gone. that would be problematic to me.
It would, and it's a shame this isn't one of our call-in shows, which we're going to have some more
Yeah.
of. But I'd be curious to see what a majority of callers would say, or people who are out there would think about this, because I think there would be some
Well, they'll
polarization.
email us or
well,
tweet
they
us, yeah.
can, but I think there will be some polarization about it. But it's really maintaining confidence, integrity of the system going forward. And I would be very leery as a defense lawyer with a client charged with a similar offense, going judge alone or even a jury trial before this judge. And it's a shame, because I'm sure there are a lot of extremely good things this judge has
And
done.
how many cases will, how many lawyers now with cases that are completed in front of this judge, where appeal periods
brilliant.
are long
Yeah.
overdue, are long gone, and say, wait a minute, I think he said something at my trial.
Yeah,
And to look at.
Or or do you go back and review a number of acquittals in similar types of cases? And even though he didn't say anything, was he harboring such a bias that influenced the way he assessed the evidence? It's a very serious case, and it's not without precedent. There have been other judges who've been removed for
Not a lot,
inappropriate
though.
comments. Not a lot, fortunately.
Right,
And you know
right.
what that speaks to? That our justice system really is a very good justice system. And whoever's watching this should really have confidence in the Canadian justice system.
Well-
there are very good judges.
Well, we'll have to wait and see what this panel does. Like I say, Joe, I just hope it's not, their decision isn't based on, well, the Canadian public isn't going to accept this. I think that's what the test is going to be, but we'll see what they have
We'll
to say.
have to come back to this later on
we
when
will
the decision's
once
made.
the decision comes out. All right.
Good.
Lots more to talk about, and we'll do that, of course, on our next Legal Brief Network episode. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you soon.